Arthur rushed down the stairs, panic building with every step. Sylvie's voice had echoed in his mind, distorted, muffled, desperate. But now, silence. He reached the door to the training room she had locked herself in. When the handle didn't budge, he didn't hesitate. One punch shattered the lock. The room inside was dim, shadows crawling along the walls. And at the back stood a small girl in a plain black robe, pale golden hair, almost feathery, and two dark horns rising from her head. It took a moment to register what he was seeing. This wasn't just a child. It was Sylvie. Her bright topaz eyes stared up at him, filled with nervousness and excitement. Her voice was soft, hesitant. "Hi, Arthur." He stood frozen. She looked no older than 9, yet he recognized her. Every detail, the hair, the eyes, even the faint dragonic aura, confirmed it. But it wasn't just the physical form. When she spoke into his mind again, it felt different. This wasn't the simple emotional transmission she used to send. This was layered, complex, intimate. She explained that absorbing the mana from the retainer's horn had broken a seal placed on her long ago, a seal her mother had used to hide her. Now, freed from it, she'd unlocked her humanoid form, just like the Asuras. But before she could explore what that meant, her body staggered. Arthur moved forward instinctively, worried. "Sylvie, are you okay?" Then she looked up, and everything changed. The presence in her eyes was no longer hers. Her gaze turned cold, calculated. Her smile, unfamiliar and chilling. Arthur stepped back involuntarily. The girl stood straighter, her body language no longer Sylvie's. She rolled her neck and spoke with unsettling calm. "Ah, you can hear me, yes?" Arthur hesitated. "I'll take that as a yes," she said casually. "Who are you?" His voice hardened. The smile curled wider on her face, wrong, unnatural on Sylvie's features. "I'm grateful you were here when the connection was made. It makes things easier." Arthur repeated the question, more forcefully this time, and then the name dropped like a blade. Agrona, the enemy. In that instant, Arthur realized this wasn't just about Sylvie unlocking her form. Something far more dangerous had broken free. Arthur's blood ran cold, but he didn't show it. Agrona had been watching carefully, likely gauging his every reaction. The innocent, confused gaze that once belonged to Sylvie was gone, now replaced by bright ruby eyes radiating control and awareness. Without a word, Arthur responded with action. The door slammed shut, sealed by a slab of stone, while a whirlwind cocooned the room in silence. The floor around the chamber was fortified in case anyone wandered too close. "Is Sylvie safe while you're using her body?" Arthur asked. Agrona took a breath, as if savoring the name. "Yes, what I'm using is a harmless spell embedded when she was still an egg. Sylvie's only sleeping." 2 stone chairs emerged. Arthur sat first, motioning Agrona to do the same. Agrona leaned back comfortably. "Thanks for the hospitality. Always easier to talk when you're not trying to kill me." "You're possessing my bond. Hurting you wouldn't accomplish much," Arthur replied. Agrona shrugged. "Can't use any mana in this form anyway, but that's not really important. Let's talk about something that is." Silence stretched as Arthur tried to process everything. This wasn't just any conversation. It was a direct meeting with the leader of the enemy. But the unease over Sylvie's state kept his thoughts unfocused. So he asked the question that had haunted him from the start. "You said you were grateful I was in the room when you connected. Why only seek me out?" Agrona's answer came quickly. "First reason, the obvious one. The rest of your little leadership wouldn't take it well if I popped up inside a girl in their most secure place. Assuming they believed me at all, they'd lose their minds." Arthur pressed again. "And the second?" Agrona leaned forward, a grin forming. "Because you're the only one on this continent I'm interested in." Arthur didn't hide his confusion. Why would the ancient leader of a rogue Asura clan fixate on him? Agrona laughed. "Relax. I'm not going to pin you down or anything weird, especially not in this form." Arthur found Agrona's eccentric behavior hard to reconcile with the image of a brutal warlord. "You're more sociable than I expected," he said. Agrona was amused. "Did you picture me as some cape-wearing tyrant bent on world domination?" "Something like that." Agrona played along. "Well, you're partly right." Then his tone shifted. "Don't be fooled. I have goals, a public face. But your kind changes its morals every decade, so keeping up appearances is exhausting. Even back home, just a few hundred years ago, public torture was entertainment. Now it's suddenly appalling." He waved the thought off. I let others worry about morality. I just lead." His words revealed more than he likely intended. Arthur had assumed Alacria was a wasteland under tyrannical rule. But Agrona made it sound like a functioning society, one with leaders and even evolving ethics. Agrona pointed at Arthur. "You're surprised. You thought I didn't care about the lessers, didn't you?" Arthur didn't deny it. "From what I was told, you experimented on them, bred with them, even before being exiled from Epheotis." Agrona's expression turned serious. "Half-truths. The best lies always are. Did Kezes or Winsome ever tell you why I did all of it?" Arthur caught the name. Kezes. Lord Indrath's first name. "You wanted to build an army to overthrow the Asuras. That's all they told you?" Agrona scoffed. "Arthur, do you think I just woke up one day and decided to commit genocide?" "Any reason you give doesn't justify what you're doing," Arthur answered, firm and unmoved. Agrona laughed bitterly. "Of course you'd think that, just like Kezes and his underlings." Arthur asked sharply what Agrona meant by claiming his actions were justified. Agrona answered with a cruel scenario. Imagine being born talentless in Dicathen. The royals would have ignored him, his peers would be strangers, and even his family would likely be disappointed. That, Agrona explained, mirrored his own experience. As a basilisk, his very clan looked down on him for his lack of power, and even Lord Indrath had refused to acknowledge him. Arthur challenged the logic. Did that justify the inhumane treatment of countless lessers? Agrona dismissed it. To him, lessers were like ants, nothing worth grieving over. Arthur's temper simmered, but Agrona wasn't being arrogant. He genuinely believed what he was saying. Arthur let out a breath, realizing how naive it was to think this could be a reasonable discussion. Agrona defended his methods. Through his experiments, he claimed to have uplifted Alacria. The lessers there didn't fear him, they revered him. To them, he was a savior. Arthur scoffed, a savior who tortured and killed their ancestors? Agrona brushed it off, claiming those sacrifices helped create a stronger future. When Arthur demanded to know what was worth that price, Agrona answered with a question. How many people in Dicathen were mages? 1 in 100. In Alacria, the number was 1 in 5. Arthur was stunned. Agrona smirked, clearly enjoying the shock. Arthur admitted it was impressive, but asked, wasn't he worried that such a powerful population might one day rebel? Agrona laughed. Not a hint of concern. His people, whether full-blooded lessers or not, respected him for giving them the ability to change their lives. Through a structured awakening process, he had given them something real. Still skeptical, Arthur pushed again. What was Agrona's goal? Agrona refused to say. He acknowledged Arthur's assumption that he was trying to recruit him, but made it clear that wasn't the point of this meeting. He wasn't trying to force Arthur's allegiance. Agrona revealed his real reason. He wanted Arthur to remove himself from the war. Stay out of it. Take refuge. Hide. In exchange, he promised Arthur and his loved ones would remain safe. Arthur was tempted. Not entirely, but enough to feel it. Why did Agrona want him alive so badly? Agrona explained he didn't believe in making allies through threats. If he wanted Arthur on his side, it had to be voluntary. Silence followed. Arthur didn't know what to say. A part of him was actually considering it. Seeing the hesitation, Agrona offered a parting gift, information. First, Arthur's parents. They'd been attacked while transporting supplies to the wall. Arthur jumped to his feet, mana flaring, but Agrona calmly raised his hands. He claimed they were unharmed because he allowed it. Second, the Asuras had gone silent because Aldir and Winsome had tried to infiltrate Agrona's castle. They failed, and as punishment, a new deal had been struck. The Asuras of Epheotis were no longer allowed to interfere in the war. Arthur was stunned, abandoned. The treaty wasn't broken, but the support of the Asuras was gone. Finally, Arthur asked the question that had been left unanswered. Why was Agrona only interested in him? Agrona smiled. Let's say I've enjoyed talking with an old friend of yours, King Grey.